Hey guys, welcome back here to my channel and to a part 2 of my aerodynamics suspended roller coaster build. As I explained in the last video, I just haven't really played this game for a long time. I really wanted to do something. I was feeling a little bit inspired to get on here and build something after having a bit of a hiatus from the game. And I was feeling inspired by some aerodynamics roller coaster videos that I've watched in recent days. And yeah, I really love these classic kind of style roller coasters, and that's something that I wanted to create with this. And also this ride type is a type that I very rarely build, so I thought it would be interesting to kind of play around with it, see what I can do. And I don't know if this is like the best thing I've ever built, but I'm definitely going to put some effort in to give it some details and really get this ride to come alive within this game. Now this episode, I guess, is going to basically be me doing the transfer track and the lift hill, putting all nice little details on there, kind of playing around with some things. I build a few things, don't like it, delete it and redo it and stuff like that, but tried to chop out some of that boring kind of footage and kind of give you the main stuff here. But yeah, like I said, I'm doing the transfer track first, so kind of wanted to lay down some concrete foundations for that. Again, this is a reference I've taken from Big Bad Wolf from Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, which is no longer there, unfortunately. It is a suspended coaster that I would love to have ridden. I've never actually been to that park. I'd love to go there. It's definitely on my list of parks to do. But yeah, this had this funny little kind of switch track area or something, what I've seen from pictures. I'm probably making this completely up. I also am taking a little bit of a creative license with this and kind of doing what I think would be realistic. What I should have done in hindsight is probably done the transfer area on the transfer track at the end of the ride. Sorry, I mean on the brake run, which is what Vortex has, and also the current bat from Kings Island, which is actually a clone of Vortex from Canada's Wonderland. I don't know which one came first, but anyway, they have the transfer track on the brake run, and I guess I should have done that, but I already put effort into doing this at the beginning, so that's what I'm going to go with for now. I'm just kind of looking at a reference photo and kind of trying to recreate what I'm seeing with the frame, with the I-beams and the different kind of smaller support beams underneath, as well as the mechanism to do the kind of transfer switch kind of thing. As you can see here, got track on top, which is kind of S-bending off to the left, and when that rotates, the S-bend will then be on the right, to then lead onto like a transfer storage area. There was a comment on my last video about the dip after the station, like how practical that would be, having a storage train being pulled up the slope back into the station, which I kind of understand. I also feel like maybe if they took a train off the transfer and put it into this part of the track, maybe they would just send it around the layout. But I do know from like Iron Dragon at Cedar Point that the transfer area is actually underneath the station, so they would have to have like a pulley winch kind of system to get the train out, I guess. I'm not sure how that works, to be honest, but I know that's the case with some coasters. The big one at Blackpool has like a layered station with transfer area because they don't have the space to have like it in width, and so the trains are then stored underneath the station and above, and so they have like a kind of elevator pulley system where they can kind of get the trains from storage and onto the track. So there are different ways. Again, that coaster is also aerodynamic, so they definitely were trying to think outside the box with how they store their trains. So now I have to try and get rid of some of the in-game generated supports. I really hate them, and I like to build my own, of course, and I do that by using the support killer mod. You can just place down like a little scenery piece, which you can hide with scenery and stuff. You can see them under the ground there, and they kind of delete the support. Since I last played, there's actually been a new one added, which is like a nano support killer, which is actually quite cool. It's really tiny, and you can just put it underneath a support beam if you want to get rid of it. Which leads me then on to the actual lift hill supports now. The lift hill for these suspended coasters are a little bit different to normal, I guess. They are a bit wider. They have a catwalk on down one side. They have the return chain kind of like on a frame above the track. And then they have lots of kind of like different supports with different cross beams and stuff on the actual support structure itself. And it's kind of one continuous big large structure for the supports. So that I'm going to try and create here using different poles and I-beams, that kind of thing. And then also I've got the catwalks mod, so I can do some catwalks. I really like using the poles. This is something I always did before, not in my older builds, but more recent builds, but I haven't built in recent days, so I hope you understand what I mean. but it's basically using the poles from Resortitect mod, and then you can just use the small beam and then resize it to really large, and then you get these really long beams and poles that you can use to do one support, whereas some of the support mods have like tiny sections of support and you have to stack them up. So doing this was actually a lot quicker and a lot easier. I did this on my Mac coaster build, which is on my channel somewhere, where I built like a Mac styled hyper coaster, very similar to like DC Rivals, and I used this support method to build the supports for that one, because they are so, that coaster, they were really crazy supports, very Mac styled, very different angles and things, and the easiest way to do it was using the Resortitect poles. Whereas the supports on these Arrow suspended coasters are so simple, they're all just vertical, straight, big chunky poles with an I-beam, cross beam on top. They're so simple. There's not really any sort of off-angled, fancy kind of shaped A-frames and stuff when it comes to this type of coaster. It's just the lift hill that has a bit more of a complex structure, but it's quite easy to achieve in the game. I also was using Freedom 2K a little bit, which I completely forgotten how to use, and it took me really a long time to figure out how to do it again and which button to even press to get it going. I figured that out while doing this as well. It's been that long since I played. I think it's been about it must be about 10 months maybe since I last played this game. So yeah, like I said in the last video as well, I am a little bit rusty when it comes to like the actual game and the controls and everything. Oh, and also while I was doing the support structure for the lift hill, I completely forgot about the transfer track storage area, and then I forgot to include that into the frame, so I had to kind of go back and edit the frame a little bit and kind of give it an educational guess on how it would look in real life, because it was a bit, I think what I did was kind of impractical, but we're sticking to it because I've done it now, and I don't want to go back and rebuild it all, because it does look kind of good. It looks like it functions and it looks realistic, and that's what I'm going for. But if it would be like that in real life, I'm not 100% sure. So talking about suspended coasters, there is actually one that I think absolutely looked amazing, like probably one of the best ones, and unfortunately it doesn't exist anymore, but it's called Eagle's Fortress. And if you don't know of that coaster, I suggest you kind of maybe look it up on YouTube or something. Go and look on the roller coaster database. It was a terrain style suspended coaster by Arrow. It was in Asia somewhere, and it uses the terrain, goes up this big hill, and then it completely just swerves and curves down this ginormous hill, and the amount of speed it picks up looks insane, and the amount of swinging the cars do on it as well. It really looked amazing, and I would love to have ridden that if I'd had the chance, but obviously the chance to ride that is gone. There was a few good suspended coasters that are no longer with us, unfortunately, that I would like to have ridden. They're definitely like a dying breed of coaster. I know Vekoma kind of started doing their kind of family suspended coaster types, but they're completely different. They're not the same as the style that the Arrow ones were. I think it's a real shame that the Vampire at Chessington has those Vekoma trains. I love the traditional trains, especially the ones that have like the bat style cars. And just the way they look and the way they swing on the track is just much more, whereas the Vekoma suspended trains, they don't really swing as much. I don't think you get the kind of that same swinging effect or feeling from them than you do from these. But like I said, I've ridden Ninja at Magic Mountain. I've also ridden Vortex at Canada's Wonderland. I've ridden the Vampire, and there's one other one that I've ridden, Iron Dragon. They're all fun. I think they're great rides. And like I said, it's just not really a coaster type that I build, so that's why I wanted to do that in Parkitect, to try and just do something a little bit different to what I'm normally used to. The coasters I always build are hyper coasters or B&M inverts. I love building those. They're just the ones that I feel more comfortable with and more natural at building. And so it's nice to kind of give something a go that I'm not familiar with, and so I can look at some reference photos and get a little bit inspired by what I'm doing. So that's kind of why I chose to do this. And like I said, I was watching these documentaries on El Toro Ryan's YouTube channel about suspended coasters, and that really kind of triggered something that I wanted to build within the game. It made me want to open Parkitect and kind of build a little layout and see if I could think of something cool and come up with a cool little layout. As for a name for this ride, I quite haven't come up for one yet. I'm still thinking. I've gone for those classic colours, black supports and red track, which so many Arrow coasters had. But I haven't got a name for this yet, so I'm going to think of one. Maybe it'll come to me as I start kind of building the station and doing all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I know this is just a video on just the lift hill, but as you can see, it does take quite a long time to actually put it all together, and going back and forward between reference photos from Google to kind of see how it would really be. That's why it kind of takes me a long time, especially for these little details. I don't want to leave it just looking like a vanilla in-game ride, because it's got no extra effort put into it with all the custom supports and all the extra little details that I like to add. So it does take me a while to do each little section, but I do enjoy doing it. I love seeing it come alive. I love seeing that realism aspect of what I'm doing start to form, because then it really like makes me inspired to build the rest of the coaster and start doing all the supports and stuff. And when it comes to custom supports, a method that I found really works well for me is just taking a section at a time and just doing that section, looking at the whole ride and the whole layout, and knowing that you have to do all those custom supports can be so overwhelming. And the best way I found is just taking like one helix or one curve and to say, right, today I'm going to support that curve, and then you do it, and then the next time you open up the game the next day you take another curve, and then I just do it like that, and I just do it a little bit at a time, and then before you know it, you've completely done the whole ride, and it doesn't seem so much like a chore. Custom supporting is something that is like a love-hate with me. Like, it looks amazing when it's done, but actually doing it takes so much time and effort, and I can understand why you maybe don't want to do it if you haven't got the patience for it. But in the end, when it's complete, it looks so good, and that's why I kind of like to do it, especially because, as I've said earlier, I do like the realism aspect of building these coasters and stuff. So adding all the different custom supports on really makes it come to life and gives it that kind of realistic look that I'm looking for. From looking at photos, there was some like cross beams coming down from the top of the support down to the bottom on each kind of square section. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some of those now. I've taken a pole from Parkitect mod and then just kind of tilted it on Freedom 2K. I'm not sure if that mod's still available to download, but there are other mods that are very similar in the workshop on Steam, I believe. So you can still achieve this if you don't have Freedom 2K. But yeah, I'm just kind of using these diagonal pieces here, kind of just putting them down on each section, and it's starting to kind of come alive now and really look like the real thing. I need to do some nets underneath the catwalk, and then like they have like a trough down the middle of the catwalk where this like pin from the bottom of the car would stick into, and that would stop the car from swinging on the lift hill. And they achieved this by having like this kind of trough, I guess, that kind of started off wide, like a Y shape, and then it went narrow, and then the car would kind of go in between it, and then it would get into the narrow part, and then as the train would go up the lift hill, the pin on the bottom of the car, like I said, would sit in this trough. I'm using a Steeplechase here coaster to do the return chain. I actually built one out of pieces. I didn't like it, and then I had this idea of using the Steeplechase track, because there's no hitbox above the invert coasters, so you can actually place down the Steeplechase track on the top and then kind of run it up the lift hill, and then it looks like the train return, which is where the chain that pulls the car up would then go back down to the beginning again. And so I've done that by using the Steeplechase track. Wow, that's hard to say. I put some nets in there, as you can see. I've also added like a beam down the middle to do this trough to stop the car swinging. And then now I'm taking a piece of fake track from the, I think it's PTC or something like that mod, where it has some different sections of track, and I'm just kind of placing that down for transfer. And as you can see, the supports that I've made do not accommodate the transfer track, so I need to go in and change those now. So what I'm going to do is just kind of put down supports on that transfer area, and then I'm going to extend the lift hill supports outwards a little bit and make it look like it kind of belongs together. I didn't want the supports on the lift hill to be like too wide, so I'm going to do like this kind of different section that's kind of on the bottom that it's sitting on, and then do like these kind of angled pieces. I don't know if that would really be done in real life on these coasters, but like I said, I'm taking a bit of a creative license with this and making it look as realistic as I can. But yeah, I think it looks not too bad. I just need to continue the concrete kind of base for the transfer area and recolor that track so it all fits in and matches nicely with the rest of the coaster. And then obviously the terrain there as well has been dug out as well to accommodate the transfer area as well, which I also think looks not too bad. So I'm just finishing up this little transfer area. It's all looking quite nice now. I also added in the little, like you saw me do it earlier on, but I didn't talk about it. I added in the kind of chain area with the mechanics and the control area on top of the beginning of the lift. Not sure what you would call that, but I did that as well. Just added in some little details there. In the next video, I think I'm going to go in and start doing some of the station and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm going to give you a little look now at the lift hill and the transfer area, what I did today. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll try and get another video out soon for you. Thanks for watching. Please give me a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you all next time here on my channel for another video. Bye.